Thank you, Simon. Thank you for coming here and trying to focus on how to make Europe the strong and impressive entity that Martin said it could be if the member states and the Commission work together. I wanted to take that as a focus of my, many things have already been said. My question is, why aren't they? Why isn't it the impressive and strong entity? And especially on EU development effectiveness. If I say EU, I mean the Commission and 27 member states. The Commission, the UK, and 26 others. We have a lot of tools in place. We have the EU Consensus for Development, we have the Code of Conduct for Division of Labor, we have and complementarity. And we know about the problem, but at the same time, this EU, this complex thing that has a common market, but for the rest is quite dynamic and still quite fragmented, is not the strong and impressive entity on development effectiveness that we actually expect. Now, we have done many studies on member states and on the Commission. The last one was on the Commission, and we agree completely with earlier remarks that the Commission has beefed up its donorship, the way it works, very much over the last 10 years. At the same time, we do have very good donors, and UK is one of them, in Europe. So again, the question is, why aren't they working together to make Europe? And there I would like to recall an expression by Gunilla Carlson, I think yesterday. Somehow we need to connect the making Europe stronger to the making external action by Europe more development oriented. We can't just try to be effective in development. We have to be effective as Europe, in Europe. And that, as many people have already indicated, is of vital importance now in a time of multiple crises and recession. Now, how to do that? I think that is the question I would like to address just lightly, because in 5 minutes, 3 left maybe, I would go to two things. We have the European Consensus for Development, and it is being approved under the EU presidency of the UK, and it's been an interesting part. But if you read it, have you ever seen the booklet? It's very thin. It's incredibly thin, actually, for the consensus of a Europe that is possibly impressive and strong. And then we would like to go to all the member states and say, okay, are you now aligning with this consensus? And then we have all kinds of questions, but most of the answers are yes, but. So in there, we have still a problem. Now, the interesting thing, of course, it is much better than 4 years ago when we didn't have the consensus. So there is a process of coming together and aligning along a number of things. And of course, the MDGs have helped a lot, let's be honest on that one. But now this whole agenda is opening up again. MDGs is one of the global development issues we have to deal with. We have climate, we have energy, we have security, etc., etc. So the other thing that in Europe we have made to try to get member states and the Commission work together is the Code of Conduct on the Division of Labor and Complementarity. It's incredible to just have all these different European flags in one country. But there again we have a problem, because it's not automatic that all member states, not even the UK, it's not automatic that they apply that code of conduct to their own conduct. It is a voluntary decision. The code of conduct is a bit thicker than the consensus, but it's also less mentioned in official documents, for example. So again, we are talking about a process of European countries coming together in trying to apply a code of conduct, which is interesting because it points at the Paris Declaration, aid effectiveness, etc. And it points at, well, let's start with Europe, then maybe we will be more effective on a short term. So what I want to express is that it's really about a process of Europe becoming a bit more integrated on development. We have a common policy on trade. For the last 10 years, even with considerable efforts of many people, the common trade policy has not delivered a development-friendly economic partnership agreements, for example, to all regions of the ACP. So what is it we need to make a more common development policy that could be equivalent to this trade policy? Those are the questions that we need to answer. The last point I want to make is, of course, how are we now going to do this? And I think, as Simon said, this is song, eh? Simon said, or something like that. Sorry. Sorry.
Oh, that's an original joke.
No, sorry, I'm not British either. How are we going to do this? And for that, I take the example of policy coherence for development, which is basically you don't give with one hand and you take it away with the other. That's, you don't give trade advantages and then dump drumsticks or things, chicken in the same market. So what you want to do, and if you do that, you need to coordinate across government departments and across countries of the EU. So there we see exactly this difficulty of Europe moving towards more integration on development effectiveness. And I'm now going to connect these two. Because I do think that what Gunilla Carlsson meant is if we don't move to further integration in Europe on development effectiveness, this development effectiveness will never happen. So if we're really serious, we have to look at this. Now how? Integration in Europe is not a popular project at the moment. We have many, many barriers to integration. We have, first we had this semi-constitution, then we took away the flag, etc., and the Dutch said yes, at least they didn't go for a referendum again. So they had this, we had a solution, the French had a solution, then the Irish said no, so, we have a problem. Integration in Europe is not a popular project. And we are in crisis, so let's be realistic. This is a very difficult project. If we want to be more coherent, more effective in development, we need to work on building a stronger Europe, but building a stronger Europe, having more Europe is not easy. So what are the minimum things we need? I agree with Martin, we need a very strong development commissioner. We finally need not just the last sort of leftover country who has somebody who really wanted to be the external relations commissioner to accept the development commissioner, because that we shouldn't do. It should be a strong commission here. It should probably come from a strong, large member state. Otherwise, it won't work. We need, and I really hope the Irish will cooperate, we need the Lisbon Treaty, because otherwise we will not have a chance to develop our external action in a more efficient way. And I think, apart from a strong development commissioner, we need to really look at the screening for all the other external commissioners. The trade commissioner should be screened on his track record for development. The external relations commissioner or double-headed high representative should be screened on his her track record for development cooperation. And I'm not just saying that. It is this high representative that should take care of policy coherence for development. If he doesn't have or she doesn't have a real track record in development, it won't happen.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you very much.